A little less than a week away from soccer's biggest event, the FIFA World Cup tournament. And let me just tell you, I'm excited for this U.S. team, even though there are certain favorites. I still got my money on the U.S. Don't fail me, U.S. But anyway, I've had two special guests that have both played soccer, coached soccer, and one covers the Cleveland Crunch. They're Kevan Arnold and Ken Straub, and they join me on a special episode of the Sports Minute as we talk about soccer, what the U.S. men's team needs to do to secure victory, and what needs to be done to improve the popularity of the sport. So check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it. So the interview, we did start off with some early technical difficulties, but it's all good. My first question, who is your favorite to win the tournament and why? So, without further ado, I'll talk to Ken Straub and Kevan Arnold and get their thoughts on this soccer tournament.
Um, all right. Brazil,
Okay.
uh, deepest roster, best roster, from top to bottom. I also, and I know, pick one team, Belgium. It's kind of hard to not mention them, but the problem is that team continues to be the best team with the best roster that hasn't shown up and won anything yet. So, and I know I probably stole all of Kevin's answers.
Rico, what did I tell you on Saturday?
He
That
said the
exact.
exact same thing. He's like, yo, Brazil's going to take it. Brazil is the favorite.
And I know I also said something like, Belgium, like they were supposed to be in their golden age of soccer, just like the U.S. is now, and they don't get it done. So like if they don't at least contend for it this year, I don't know. I think that a lot of the guys that they have, they're going to be on the way out. But it's hard to go against Brazil. I guess what I've found interesting is just seeing some videos of CBS Sports, who does a lot of the UEFA Champions League and stuff, some of their soccer shows. I think they have like a Golasso show, which if you guys haven't seen it, you guys got to check that out.
It's
I'm sure Ken, you've seen it, but like
it's the red zone. It's for
it's
soccer.
it's the red
It's
zone of
amazing.
soccer, and like I know that people think like, oh, but there's not a lot of scoring in soccer. Like somehow when you watch that show, you're just enthralled in goals. But I've seen videos of people saying Argentina, like is Argentina deep enough to do it? Can this be finally the time that Argentina's finally started to show up on the international stage? Messi's last World Cup, can he go out on top? I mean, like that's one that a lot of people have started to like, and it's almost like a dark horse element for me to hear Argentina when they haven't performed well, just like Belgium on the world stage. But when you see Brazil in the tournament, and especially the group that they got, it's hard to go against them.
Mm. So, yeah.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I have a dark horse. I have a dark horse. I'm gonna get it out of the way early. Serbia.
Oh wow.
The last World Cup, Croatia made a run. I think when you look at that roster and the amount of not just veterans but just top quality players, and you mentioned Argentina, Messi. I actually have it written down. This is the Ronaldo and Messi farewell tour. This is. I think we talked about this the last time in the podcast that doesn't exist, Rico. That this is one of their chances to be that guy. They've competed their entire lives. They've gone back and forth. It's an argument: who is the best, who is the best. If one of them was to make, I don't think a deep run is good enough, but if one of them was to win, that's the mic drop of who is better and who has the best career.
That cements the legacy right there as the best. Ken, who do you say between those two? Who have you are I'm sure you've been in those conversations, just like we've been in,
Absolutely.
the Jordan, LeBron conversations before and all those kind of conversations. I'm just interested. Who do you
Yeah.
say?
I have admitted bias. I am a Manchester United fan. So
Hey, let's go.
okay. So I think I do love Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he is a great player. I think Messi will be considered a better player overall because the way he's able to continue his career because he's able to actually move around and play different positions. It's been harder for Cristiano to do that because as he's gotten older, he's kind of just become a striker and he's gotten slower, which are the kind of the two things that hurt you as a striker, getting older and getting slower. So, um, yeah, I'm going to say Messi, but if Ronaldo has another tournament like he was having last time and was having during the Euros and he can win, I think this is it.
I don't know how, but like Ken and my brain must be intertwined somehow. We're both United fans. You would think we would go Ronaldo, but I mean, like I told you Saturday, Rico, that Messi is my that's the player that I've looked up to, the guy that can do it all. And why like I don't care if again in the LeBron Jordan, that's the traditional like who's the greatest and the two player kind of conversation that you compare to for people that don't know soccer. Like that's kind of level, if not higher, that we're talking about here in the kind of conversation that we're having. The biggest difference is they're playing at the same time. Their careers have been going at the same time. So you've seen them both in their primes and as they fade into kind of the end of their careers. I've always kind of geared towards the player that can do it all, that's like that point guard, but can still go get his it's the new age point guard with the old age point guard, can distribute the ball, can kind of get others involved. But when he gets his own, when Messi gets his own, boy, is he going to make a defender look like an absolute fool out there because it's just you don't know how he gets through those tight spaces. He is someone that has had to play, 1-on-5 at certain points. People just converge on the ball. Ronaldo is that great striker though because he's always in front of net and has been able to finish. It just hasn't come to fruition as much as of late as the years have gone on.
Okay.
I love the basketball analogy there. It's the equivalent if Michael and LeBron played at the same time, had the
Yes.
same amount of rings. I mean, because that's in a basketball sense that Messi is a LeBron, he can do it all, he's all over the place, and Ronaldo is the killer, the Michael, the
Yeah.
scorer, that guy. So, but yeah, oh, oh, this one's gonna blow up. Michael and LeBron and Messi and Ronaldo.
And you bring up like championships too, like saying if LeBron, like this is like if LeBron and Michael played at the same time at the same amount of championships. Well, the ultimate championship you want to win as a soccer player, not just the Champions League with your club, but the ultimate one is the World Cup because it only comes around every 4 years.
Yep.
Neither one has one. Like I don't like the championship only conversation when people say like who's a better player in any sport. Like when you only go to that, that's to
Yep.
me that's a lazy argument. But in this case, that would be kind of the ultimate decider, I think, because we've been able to debate everything else. That main championship isn't there. If one were to win it, that would decide it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with the US next week, they have a big one against Wales, and they're coming off of their first World Cup appearance or World Cup in 64 years, and they're hungry. They're a hungry team. So what would the US have to do to come away with the victory in Group B?
I mean, they're gonna have to get off to a fast start, and that's gonna come against Wales. And I mean, there's a lot of questions about the guys that Coach Greg Berhalter brought to Qatar. There are many questions on that roster, but a big bulk of the core of the golden age of U.S. soccer is there. These young players that are playing on the highest stage, and some of them coming in really good form, playing for their club teams. What they're going to have to do is they are going to have to get off to a fast start, and I think you have to get 3 points against Wales because it's I wouldn't say it's the group of death, but it's close to it, and you want to be one of those two teams to advance. You're coming into this tournament not playing well in the last window of international play in September with just a couple friendlies. England, the same kind of thing. Wales has some people probably haven't heard of them, but they're going to come in with some really really good talent, and they probably feel like they're being overlooked because a lot of the conversation in this group has been USA England. USA better be ready because yeah, you haven't been on the stage in 8 years. You haven't been in the World Cup in 8 years, and this is a lot of these players' first World Cup, and this is what they've dreamed of. Boy, you're going to have to grow up very quickly. You're going to have to get over that and get to playing soccer come 2 o'clock our time over in Qatar on Monday.
I agree. I'm just gonna echo a couple of the things. This is one of the first times for the U.S. that we have those players playing in the Champions League and playing in those leagues. The problem is, so does everyone else in this group. Um, Wales, yeah, you may have not have heard of this team because everyone wants to talk about England. Dan James, he plays for Fulham in the English Premier League. Aaron Ramsey's a Premier League veteran. And the scary thing about Wales, and this is the thing I've been trying to caution everyone who I can talk to about this, is they have one player, Gareth Bale, that if he decides, and I don't mean that hyperbole, it's kind of up to him because he's that type of player who turns it on and off. If he decides that he wants to be the best player on the field, he's going to be the best player out of all 22 on the entire field and everyone on the substitute bench. So that doesn't mean we can't go out and get 3 points. The golden age of this generation of US soccer is on this roster. There's me and Kevin could do our own entire podcast just going back and forth of the 26 guys taken and like come up with an entire another roster. The arguments and the guys to pick between aren't those guys though. The talent is there. The talent is on the team. The top guys are there. And this team for the most part, other than in the back, is healthy. So these guys need to kind of just, like he said, it's time to put up or shut up. They didn't qualify for the last World Cup, and that's unacceptable. Even though we're not the Englands and the Frances and the Brazils and the Germanys, and I understand that, we're still too good to not qualify. So this is big for this team because yeah, you're going to need to go out and at least get 1 point against Wales because the England squad is deep and it's very, very good and talented. And you cannot sleep on this Iranian team either. They have a Champions League scorer up top who scored plenty of goals this year, and you don't sleep on these other countries. And it's kind of cliche to think about it in terms of the world, but it happens a lot in soccer. People love to play us. People love to beat us. We are in terms of American sports, we are the Notre Dame, we are the Cowboys, we are that team to the rest of the world. We are the bully to the rest of the world in terms of politics, and sometimes that bleeds heavily in the soccer. So teams like to beat on us. So that A game has to be there at all times.
That's interesting you bring that up. That like I guess like I've always seen that, but I appreciate you characterizing it that way. That a lot of countries, as much as on the men's side of things, US is not known to be a soccer powerhouse. Now, again, they should have qualified in 2018 because they should be one of the top 3 teams coming out of CONCACAF, their region of qualification every single time. Like that was an absolute shame and an embarrassment to US soccer and the development of it here. But now you got this young group and you've been able to kind of hit the reset button and prepare for this moment to come to 2022. Fans are jumping on board. Like sports fans are jumping on board here in America because it's the World Cup and they're being told it's a big sporting event. So, sports betting becoming legal in several states. So, like, that is another big draw for people to get on board. But it's like people jumping on the bandwagon when it's just good enough. And while around the world, soccer is the biggest game and every other player knows that, they also hear that America has the best athletes and they're just not playing soccer, or else America would be dominating in soccer if some of the best athletes had focused on that sport and not the main 3 that we talk about here in the US. So yeah, countries like to still continue to assert their dominance against us, against the USA. USA has to be that team that's the hungriest, has the most heart, has the most will. Yes, utilize your talent. The talent's got to come through, but it's got to come deep within if this team is going to do what they should, which is get out of their group. But to make a deep run, you're going to have those intangibles show up.
Which brings me to my next point, and you brought up a very interesting point that a lot of athletes aren't playing soccer where it's popular everywhere else. My next question for both of y'all is, what do you think can be done to popularize or bring the sport, because soccer is a very underrated sport in my opinion. I mean, the feet-eye coordination, everything that goes into it, the endurance, the conditioning. It's, to me, it's a very tough sport to prepare for, probably before football and basketball even. So what do you think can be done to, increase the popularity in soccer in America?
Ken, I'll let you start this time.
Okay, thank you. Rico, I think a lot of it comes from, well, let me backtrack. I'm sorry. The numbers are there at the youth level. It's one of, if not the most popular sport, until you kind of get out of that youth level and into the high school level and into into the college level. I think that's a couple of things. One, Rico, we went to high school together. I played soccer. What was the reason? What was one of the main reasons nobody wanted to play on the soccer team? We weren't any good. So, as an American, when you watch every year these sports, not just in our country, and then you see us kind of dominate in basketball on the world stage. You can't have football, in Olympics because the way, Americans would dominate. We have to win. Winning is there was a huge spike when we made it to the quarters, you know what I mean, a couple years back, that Landon Donovan team that kind of was real young and wasn't supposed to be there. There was a spike in the country. There was a huge spike when the women won, not just among girl and soccer, men's and boys too. So winning, and it has to. Soccer has become like hockey and AAU basketball in terms of becoming expensive as well. And that's kind of hard to be when you're not the popular sport. So you're also pricing your poorer athletes, who are some of your best athletes in this country, and you're pricing them out of the game. So they're going to basketball or football or baseball even.
Yeah, and hearing the question, like what's going to make it more enticing, Ken hit the nail on the head. It is winning. It has to be winning. It has to be winning where it's forcing everyone to take notice and mention it. It's not just the traditional soccer shows. It's or not even just the traditional sports centers. It's then CNN, Fox News, your local news, everyone
Stephen A.
kind.
Smith.
Yeah. I mean, like everyone talking about it, and anything that you watch, what news outlets get the most run and the most views. I mean, like once people kind of see it, oh, like this is the cool thing to catch on to. This team is playing well. They're from the United States. They're winning. We're the best country in all of the world. We're supposed to be winning. Boy, I need to check them out. I was told our team doesn't win at all. So winning is a big thing. In order for the US to win behind the scenes, to get that and more people to watch, I think the development of the sport and some of the young players could be a little bit better, or at least utilizing them. And when they get to the national stage, when they get to the senior US men's or women's national team, you got to have the right people in place, the right managers in place to find a way to get the best talent on the field and get the most out of them. Every other country does it. There's players that go to play with their country. They they've played other positions for their club teams. Sometimes they have to make subtle little adjustments in the formations that their country wants to run. But again, those managers find a way to utilize that talent and they still perform to the level you expect them to perform. I think at times when the US has a little bit behind them, or you say the golden age, that you tell us there's a lot of talent on this team, sometimes they underperform because they're not utilized properly and the players don't step up when they need to be that player. And I can point to one that everyone's heard of, Christian Pulisic. As much as I love that play, I love Christian. I love the way he plays the game. I love his aggressiveness. I think he should be playing more for Chelsea. Yeah. A lot's going to be expected of him. And yeah, he's young, but I'm sorry, life is hard. So you're gonna have to come through.
And I think that's one of the glaring issues with this roster is Yes, you have ballistic. Yes, you have Reyna, Weston McKinney, Tyler Adams, Brendan Aronson. You have these top talents. There is no Clint Dempsey on this team. There is no Tim Howard, Brad Guzan. There's no veteran that's been through the World Cup. You have veterans in terms of age. That's why Christian Roldan's on the team. Sean Johnson made it as a keeper. But they lack uh, a guy who's been there before. There's no Grizzly vet who's been there. Hey guys, it was only a couple days in between games. This is what we need to be focused for. There isn't that guy, so that is a worrisome. However, this team's never carried this much talent to a World Cup either.
Right. And the talent, like I said, has to show through, but and we've seen it at times, especially playing against Mexico and playing in the CONCACAF, like some of those really good games that we saw in some of these like Nations League or these other tournaments that you play in off years from the World Cup to still kind of get that international stage where you're playing outside of your qualification area sometimes too. We've seen this team kind of give that heart to kind of, when they go to ground, they're getting at most of the time they're getting back up. They're not one of those guys just flopping all over the ground and stuff, having that grit. But then like that next time that they get to play, something just feels missing. Energy is missing or something. So you're gonna have to bring the extra stuff. And yeah, there's no experienced veteran that's been to the World Cup to kind of tie things together when adversity hits. They're gonna have to work through it themselves. This World Cup, though, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take at the end if they don't perform the way that they should. I'm not going to take people saying, well, they got the experience and now like they can go into and be on comfortable grounds here in North America the next World Cup. No, you better go make a run in this World Cup. Even if you don't win it, these young guys, yeah, then they get the experience, they play at a big level, then it makes you hungry to want more. Then you get to come home and say, hey, we've shown that we can compete with the best. It's time to go finish the job.
Absolutely. And that's the unfortunate part when you miss a World Cup, because that would have been the opportunity for some of these younger guys to get that hunger. These guys are coming into their prime. Just exactly as you said, we got there. No,
Nope.
that's not good enough. I don't while I don't expect us to finish first, not finishing second isn't acceptable. And depending on the draw, because we all know as a soccer fan, you know how horrible that can go for us as a United States men's national team fans.
Just look for
A
Ghana.
good draw. you get a good draw, and yeah, just making it out of the group stage. Then.
Yeah, it's not enough, Rico. Like we can't stress that enough. Like this team has to go compete. This team has to go compete and get out of their group and maybe make a little bit of a run in this tournament. Getting there is no longer enough. As much as U.S. soccer is still not a powerhouse in the world, getting to the World Cup is not enough.
No moral victories. No more moral victories at all. US, you got to get it done, man. One more thing, man, before I leave, man. I just want to put it out there. I took your advice, Kevin, and I downloaded FIFA. And let me tell you, that is the most fun I've had playing video games in a long time, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still trash. So I'm not calling nobody out, please. I'm not calling nobody out. I still suck. And it's dope, man. I tell everybody, I'm late to the party. Forgive me, but FIFA, dog. I'm about to be playing this all week.
It's amazing.
And Rico, I know we talked about it, like stuff that we talked about that we didn't see. So I'll just quickly kind of go through it. Like I told you that to kind of, that's one way I've heard a lot of people get into the sport. And I know Ken's probably the same way. I will do all I can to try to get people to at least watch it, to give it a try. I'm going to try to get you to give it a try, to come over to my side of soccer is a really good sport. And I will tell you, if you tell me that you have a problem with guys that just easily go to the ground, girls that just easily go to the ground, and they flop all over the place, and it's like they haven't been touched, I will tell you, I have that same problem with the sport. Like playing the sport, and I know Ken has played it. it is a physical sport, and there is
Absolutely.
contact in the sport.
Absolutely.
Guys make it, and even some girls make it seem like there isn't, or you can't contact anybody. By the way, like they just get touched with a fingernail, and it's like the worst injury ever. It's LeBron times 1,000. If people have a problem with LeBron flopping on a basketball court or some of those guys, there's a lot more people playing soccer around the world. And there's a lot more people doing that kind of stuff, and I take issue with that. But I'm going to try to get you to give it a try, and I will ask people again, just give it a try. Like 40, even if it's not the US, 45 minutes of one of these games, watch the sport or play the video game, and just and see what this sport really is, because 1-0 seems boring to a lot of people, to the average sports fan. I can tell you more often than not, 1-0, 1-0 is a lot more exciting than even some of the baseball games that you may watch that are 4-3. Like,
Yep.
just give it a chance. And I love baseball to my core. I love basketball. I love the American sports. I love football to my core. I've enthralled myself in that when soccer was my number one sport. Just asking other people to give soccer a try and step out of those main ones.
I'm definitely
The
going
first-
on that. Ken? I think we lost Ken. Hold on.
Yeah. I know it's been freezing a little bit, but I mean, I know that Wi-Fi has been a little off with some of this weather we've had too.
Yeah, technology is a mug.
You drop from 70 degrees all the way down to 30. Human body can't handle it, but technology can't handle it either. So
right, right, not at all. Well, I hate to see Ken go out like that.
I know he was probably. I know he was going to I know he was going to try to echo and expand on what I was saying. Like, the World Cup is always a good stage to kind of entice people to watch soccer, and they'll watch it, and then it kind of goes away. Just like the Olympics, like people will watch swimming, and they'll watch like track and field, but you won't watch it when it's on TV any other time.
Right.
Allow this time to be that time to give it a try. And if you even have any sort of like, I'm dipping my toe in the water type feeling, watch it beyond the World Cup and watch other versions of it, Premier League, club soccer, all of that throughout the year, and just see where it goes. And if you don't like it after you've given it that old college try, hey, I appreciate you trying, but we'll still get it. Ken and I will still be here as people trying to
be here,
and trying to preach to that soccer is a sport that people should keep their eye on.
Watch the opening game. Watch how much it means to people. That's what I was trying to say. Watch how much does it means to those people to not just have the World Cup, but to be there. Watch how you're obviously you're gonna watch some of the bigger teams, and those will be some of the best teams to watch the actual quality of the game. But watch when Iran plays, watch when Serbia plays, when Switzerland plays, some of these smaller countries, and watch how much it means to them. Senegal, watch how much it means to those people for their guys to.
And different countries. I know that he kind of cut out there, but just to kind of expand on that, different countries are going to give you different styles. African nations, they're going to come at you with the speed. They're going to come at you with the flash. You like those bat flips. You like those great celebrations in the end zone. Oh my goodness, are you in for a treat with some of the celebrations that Ghana and countries like that are going to bring? You want to see guys passing the ball around. Spanish clubs, they're going to move the ball, and it's going to seem like the ball just never stops moving, and it's just effortless. You want powerhouses, you're going to see Germany. I could go on and on and on. There are so many different styles and so many different sports you can compare soccer to based on how these countries decide to play. And again, Ken
Dancing over you.
Yeah, Ken said it perfectly. Like, watch that first game, or at least watch what it means to the fans and how many people travel to the World Cup to see their country play on that stage. Look and see what it means to the fans, to the team, to the coaches, everyone around it. It truly means the world to them.
All right, man. So we all geared up, man. Check out the United States men's team, man. The World Cup tournament starts next Monday, 2 o'clock. United States takes on Wales. To my good guests and my good friends, Kevan Arnold and Ken Straub, thank y'all so much for being a part of my show this evening. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. I'm Rico McGee. This has been the Sports Minute. And as always, we'll see you in a minute.